to execute an agreement for services with the town of Gray.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, a call for a vote. All in favor? Thank you. Unanimous. Next item on the agenda, 22-029, to hear a presentation from the town manager regarding Route 100 redevelopment plan.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is only possible primarily because of what the federal government is coming out with for infrastructure improvements. I had a meeting with the TIF committee several weeks ago, it's probably over a month or so ago, and I asked them, should we pursue some of these dollars, and should we try to work with the Department of Transportation to see if we can acquire this for Route 100. For those of you who are here from Route 100, and quite a few people in the neighborhood are here, years ago we have tried unsuccessfully to try to put a traffic signal at the intersection of Blackstrap, Skillen, and Route 100. The reason is primarily we don't meet what is called the traffic warrants. We don't meet specific levels in traffic and delays in traffic to warrant a signal. Just before COVID, if you remember, the DOT came down and presented to us a plan that they felt would help improve the accidents in that location. That was a four-way stop sign. And I think most of us were kind of surprised by that. Most of us that know the area almost feel that might be a little less safe than no four-way stop. So it was kind of, the poor guy that came down to give us that report was standing here and he said, I'm just a messenger. So he did a great job, and he explained the reason and the success they've had in other areas. But those of us that know the area pretty well really questioned if that really would work at all. So it's been kind of silent, and we've been waiting for COVID to end, and I was actually going to have him come back again until the possibility of something else would happen. So when we looked at the intersection, and I'll come back to this slide, and I should have put this one last because I'll just explain where the limits of this project are. But those of you who live there, I'm looking to potentially extend sidewalks to the intersection back to the bridge, back to close to Tammy Lane, and then back a long ways away from the intersection, probably near the Skillen's greenhouse, and then over the hill to the two neighborhoods at the bottom of the hill. So when we look at what's possible for this area, for those of you who just remember, and everybody took my thunder away by messing around with my slides, but I'll fix them. When we look at the beginning of this, just to get everybody kind of in the right area, here's Cop Motors, Dr. Bill's, the plaza right here, the veterinary center right here, of course the ice cream shop. Everybody asks about what's going to happen to the ice cream shop. And again, this is just a vision. This is a proposal. Nobody's dropping blocks everywhere. We're just trying to show what is possible out there. And what we'd like to try to do is kind of make the Rotary kind of arrive point, kind of the wow factor for Route 100. Right now, it is honestly no different than it was 50 or 70 years ago. It truly is, with the exception of a few businesses that have agreed to come out there. David Small, for instance, the Bird Sanctuary. There are a couple of really nice businesses. The lumber store that was there that has now moved away. We really haven't had a lot of momentum for success. So we started looking at, well, what's the possibilities if we try to basically plant a seed for a vision for the area? And to me, there are a lot of possibilities. But we've got to create a destination point, because right now with the toll plaza in Falmouth and the toll plaza in Gray, we're kind of like a dead-end street. And that's the best way I can describe it. Unless you're going there for a very specific reason, we're not going to attract the businesses that we need in that area. And I just want to try to present a vision to businesses that we are serious about development of Route 100, and we would like to see, for instance, in this building here at the corner would be, small shops on the first floor and walk-up apartments or some type of living on the second floor. We would look at, you know, potentially banks and, or hardware stores, or, you know, daycare centers, things that we do need in this community and we do need in the area. When we look at kind of the ground level, you see the traffic lights here, you see the, you know, what it is what it is, but there is potential for a heck of a lot more. And I really believe it's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen in 2 days or maybe 2 years, but it's, if we don't start planting seeds now, if we don't try to convey a vision to folks, nothing's going to change for the next 50 years. And when I look down, here's the plaza on your right, when I look down Route 100 south toward Falmouth, there is a lot more that we can be, and it's easy to see when we do nothing, nothing will happen. When we start to present a vision, maybe people will get excited about what Cumberland can be and what West Cumberland can look like. And when there are sidewalks and bike lanes and things that, the amenities that really attract kind of a walkability that isn't there today, because no one's walking on paved shoulders at 50 miles an hour with traffic passing you. This will all have to change. When we look at this, we also look at what are the possibilities for, you know, for the center itself, for the traffic center. There's unlimited amounts of ideas. Next Tuesday, we're going to meet out at the hall to basically lay out the drawings and basically ask people to, you know, give us some real feedback and some honest feedback of what they think can happen in different places. But one of the things we're going to ask is, what do you think the middle should look like? How do you think it should function? These are awesome pictures, but we also have to think about, oh, let me go back to my favorite one. It's kind of the nighttime picture. The artwork and statues and other things. And we laugh about that a little bit, but a lot can happen if you have some vision and you can get excited about it. So for me, anything is possible. If you've been down by USM, I'm the guy that's driven around that circle about 26 times because I wanted to see how they fit everything in there. And I think I got my wife dizzy after about lap 4. But I just think there is a possibility here that exists because of certain partnerships that are coming. When you look at the design of this, the one big thing we have concern for is the truck traffic, because honestly, there are trucks that don't want to go through the tolls and they come right down Route 100. This circle is large enough to accommodate the wheelbases of a 67-foot tractor trailer truck. We have the ability, when you build these circles, you also, there's this mountable curb area that exists always around. It's about a 6 to 8 foot wide circle around the circle, if you will, that kind of gives us the ability to get in just about every vehicle around the circle without too much trouble. So there's a lot more to come with this project, but what the TIF committee wanted to talk about, and wanted to talk about especially to the folks in West Cumberland next week, is what are your thoughts? Too much, too little? What's next? How do we get started? I mean, there are thousands of questions still to be answered. Traffic circles are not cheap. They're probably very expensive, and that's probably why we haven't brought it before anybody today, to date. The average cost is somewhere between $3 and $5 million. We're looking at basically sidewalks as well in this area, so this project is probably in the $5 to $7 million range. And that's, fortunately, the preparation we have done, a lot of the work out there with water mains and with drainage has definitely helped, but there's still a lot more construction work that has to be done. We are in a position that the federal government has basically reached out to DOT, and honestly, our representatives and our senators have said, you know, there's only so many bridge decks I want to look at. They want to basically look at something that's real. If you've driven up to Sugarloaf, I'm going to mess up the town. Is it Belgrade that you drive through when you go to Sugarloaf, or Belfast? I've never, they begin with a B, I think. There's a town you drive through that just has been renovated to the max as you drive through there. And I stopped and I said, how the heck did this happen on my way to Sugarloaf? I was going there for a conference last summer.
Belgrade on Route 27.
Yeah,
Route-
Belgrade Lakes.
That's it, thank you. Yes, you drive through there and you go, oh my gosh, you know, I've arrived to something. It really catches your eye. And I just, as soon as I saw that, I reached out to the DOT and asked, I said, how do we get in this program? How do we participate? And I met with Dale Dowdy, who's here tonight from DOT. Dale, thanks for being here, and the commissioner, and we talked about it, and we said, well, how do we get started with this process? So they asked to put together a vision, share it with the council, share it with the neighbors, and see what kind of feedback and input you can get. And if there's support there, they're willing to continue to go to the next step to, see if we can get a preliminary design report to see, what the actual cost will be, what are the things that'll be important to include, and then come back and say, okay, we're ready to go, are we still on board? 90% of this is through state, federal funds, and the other 10% would be as part of our TIF district and our TIF funds. I've shared this with Mark and Tom and with Ron and our TIF committee. They were fully supportive of bringing this forward tonight, but more importantly, next Tuesday to come forward and meet with the neighbors as well, so that we could talk about a vision and talk about your thoughts and talk about, what's next. And is this the right fit, or is this just too much or too little, or, what would you like to see? There's no guarantee these shops and buildings and everything else is going to come, but honestly, unless we build the infrastructure for it to prepare it up for something like this, and to share with Merida, who is the big commercial real estate group that, Cumberland is open for business. I'd like to move those blue signs from Route 1 and put them up on Route 100 and say, yes, we're open for business, and we want your business here on Route 100. So for me, that's the vision. Happy to answer the 8,000 questions that I'm sure will come. I'm really encouraging you, though, to come next Tuesday night at 6 o'clock at the community hall, because that's really where we're going to get into pencil. We're going to have tables set up all around the room. We'll have these blown up and in front of you so that you can see more. We'll have a lot of the questions about, how much room do you actually have? A lot of these won't come until we get survey done, we get right-of-way accomplished. We do a lot more work, but you can't start with the ideas without the vision. And I think in my sharing these ideas with the TIF committee, I think they were fairly excited to at least take that first step and be before you here tonight. So I'll be quiet, I'll go sit down, and I can answer questions from over there just as well as over here.
Before I take any public comment or take any comment from anybody, I asked Brenda to put this little sheet of paper in front of everybody, which I was saving for new business, because I thought we should have a check-in and see how we're doing this year. So I think that what I want to recognize is the forward thinking of the town manager, because if you don't have a vision, whether it's for yourself, your community, your school, your family, your business, you don't move it very far. And while I'm sure we're going to get a lot of criticism, and we may get a lot of accolades for the direction we're headed for. I think most importantly is this fits right into what is this community trying to do, and how this fits in with what our engagement is: business growth, open for business, smart growth, controllable. Anyways, thank you, Bill, for the work to date. This is, it's great to have a vision. It's great to have something in front of us, and it's, it may look, the finished product may look a lot different. It may look exactly like this, but here we have a vision, and so, anyways, if there's a couple of quick comments from the councilors, if not, I'll let the public chime in. All right, Mark.
You might, I will just jump in. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Mr. Manager, for that presentation. I have to say personally, I don't live in West Cumberland, but when I heard about this opportunity, I was very excited for West Cumberland and frankly for the town of Cumberland as a whole. Whether it looks like this identically or something different, I can't help but think about Kevin Costner and Field of Dreams of if you build it, they will come. I don't know if that will happen overnight, as the manager said, but it's something that I feel like if we make the investment, the right types of businesses that we want to have in Cumberland. you know, the grocery stores, the banks, the other types of businesses that really will help you build that community in that area. This is a first start to it. I think it hits on a couple of issues, helping us attract the right types of businesses that we want. Those businesses will hopefully bring people together. They'll also pay taxes and hopefully not use a significant amount of town resources. So that's helping to broaden our tax base in general. I also feel from an environmental standpoint, roundabouts are traditionally more environmentally friendly than stop signs. You're not sitting there, you're not idling, you're not pumping gas out into the atmosphere. So it hits a benefit on kind of the climate action side of things as well. But yeah, I'm just very, very excited about this, just very excited about the vision. So just wanted to get that out there.
All right, would anybody like to address the council or have some comments? If you go to the podium and identify yourself, name and address.
Kathy McDonald, 17 Tammy Lane, West Cumberland. I'm a lifetime resident, and I have seen so many accidents, and even one child, died from getting hit trying to ride his bicycle on the Gray Road, which was always soft sand. And I also saw another young child coming from Highland Avenue, got hit by a car who happened to be going slow, but luckily he didn't get hurt real bad. And this is back in the 70s and late 60s that happened. But I've also seen, like just trying to cross from Skillins Road to Blackstrap. All of a sudden you get somebody that stops right on the Gray Road and decides to want to let you go forward, which can create a lot of problems. They're trying to be very nice, but I could see cars coming up behind them. They're not realizing it, and, you're going to get an accident from that. I've seen crashes where people have gotten hit and the person got knocked out and they've gone around in circles and circles and circles, and this was like back in the 60s. Well, Co-op Motors had a few cars taken out on the corner also for things like that. So it really is, to me, a safety issue, and I'm so happy to see this, and that it's gonna be big enough for the 18-wheelers, because, we've got a lot of Yarmouth lumber trucks going through there. I've seen some comments we've posted on West Cumberland Community Club on Facebook, and also there's comments going on for Forest Lake Association. And they're kind of concerned about raising dust for the lake even. And I'm like, I don't know how they're getting that, but just tonight I saw that concern. But I personally think this is a wonderful thing. I'm glad you're pursuing it, Bill. It's perfect for West Cumberland, and it is. It's planting seeds. As you know, I grew up working in greenhouses, so that's important to me. So, thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. Someone else, please.
My name's Gerald Croce, 20 Skillins Road. I just want to echo what Kathy said. I think they'll be a great asset for the community over there. And being a member of the fire department, I've gone to several accidents in that intersection, and I think that would help slow stuff down. I think a four-way stop's not the answer. Traffic lights, somebody always loses and has to wait, so I think that'd be a great way to keep traffic moving. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Raymond Mixer from 9 Dragonfly Lane off Skillin Road. I love the idea of the commercial type zone on Route 100 if it's primarily commercial. I think that the tax dollars derived from the commercial is much better from the town than to adding to our school load the amount of children that we have in this town. So if the majority of it was commercial with a limited amount of apartments on the upper floor of one of the buildings, as the town manager said, there's a lot of areas along Route 100 that are developable, and I think the town needs the tax dollars from the commercial end of it. Living just off of Skillen Road, I've got to say that our speed limit is 35 miles an hour, and it is not adhered to at all. It's not, 45 miles an hour is not adhered to. And if you compare Skillen Road to the Blanchard Road, you have, on Blanchard Road, an occasional farmhouse, lots of wide open fields, and the roads are not the same for the same speed limit. I've driven down Skillen Road at 40 miles an hour, and that to me seems like an absolute maximum. 45 is right out of the question. And living on Dragonfly Lane, which is, if you come from Blanchard Road down and over the river, it kind of does an S-turn, it comes up to the top of the hill. From there, right straight out to Cop Motors, it's one house after another. It's very high density, and our mailboxes are all on one side of the road on Skillen Road. When we get our mail, we have to cross the road to get it. I've got a spinal fusion in my back. I don't move very fast, but I'll get across the road and get my mail. Nothing's coming either way, and I start back, and I get halfway across the road, and I hear this roar, and around the corner has come this pickup truck, and he's doing 50 miles an hour or more. And, I mean, I scoot along as quick as I can, and as he goes by, he races his engine. Like, get off my road, you know? And I really think something needs to be done about it. I think 30 miles an hour is appropriate, and a radar-activated flashing sign with their speed on it, and when they exceed the speed limit, maybe white flashing lights. When they exceed it by 10 miles an hour, blue flashing lights. And I think we need to follow up with, once in a while, having a police officer run radar on Skillen Road. We have cars exceeding the speed limit, service trucks, pickup trucks, box trucks, dump trucks. We have everybody screaming down this road because it's the only road from Gray Road to go down through, to go to Cumberland Center. And everybody uses it like a racetrack. And I guess I'd like to see if this project was gonna be done, sidewalks put in on Skillen Road, because you've gotta get the people, you know, you're gonna have bicycles on the road, but if you can get the walkers off on the sidewalk, you'll at least give a little bit more space.
I get it. I'll digress for just a second. I think the technology's coming where they can just take a picture of your car with a radar and send you the ticket.
I've received a few tickets that way. Not here, but, yeah.
I got one through the New Jersey Turnpike,
Did ya?
toll booth one time.
Welcome to New Jersey.
Anyone else, please?
Hi, Sandra Gorsuch Plummer, 56 Forest Lake Road. That's even better up close. My concern isn't with the roundabout. I do travel through that intersection every workday. My concern is the scale of the development and the scale of commercial development and how that's going to impact the neighborhood. I think we live there because we like it to be rural. I don't want to live somewhere. I moved from Westbrook 12 years ago. Very near to where they put the new development in for Market Basket. And it's a nightmare for me to think about a grocery store going in this area. If it's going to be developed for commercial locations, I hope that it will be small, locally owned businesses and not giant mega Walmart. I have heard that thrown around, Walmart or even Hannaford. Thank you.
We just don't have the acreage for that kind
Yeah.
of development. We really don't. The TIF committee, we're looking at that, and it is going to be much smaller scale businesses. It's just, we don't have the land. What you see is the most The biggest slice of land is right there on that slide.
Yeah, and I would also add that any new business that potentially wants to come, there would be multiple hearings on that particular topic, design, scope, size, things like that. This is just more, again, kind of planting the seed for a roundabout that maybe from that, hopefully locally owned, smaller size businesses come in there too, but I think that's well
VCC
done.
zoning also would restrict the type
Right,
of
I was
scale.
gonna
When we,
add
when we
that.
put the zoning
Yeah.
together, we limited it to more cafe-type level, small market type level of types of uses.
Thank you. I'll take the floor back from everyone now. I'll point out to everyone here that we are doing a survey right now, and I urge you all to fill out the survey. It's online, and those concerns or ideas can be added to that survey. We'd really like to hear from you. So please, everyone, make sure you fill out the survey.
There's even a place to add names of roads for speeding, I think.
I just want to encourage everybody in the room and all your neighbors to come to West Cumberland next Tuesday night at 6 o'clock. Like the town manager said, we're going to have tables like this set up with a map of the whole area and with crayons or whatever, if you want to come up and mark on it. I encourage everybody to have some input on this. I mean, everybody knows who I am. I own 3 sides of this intersection. This is not my plan. I told Mark Segrist this, that everybody's going to point the finger at me, and it's not me. I think this is wonderful. I'm not opposed to the roundabout. It's just a sketch design now. Everybody needs to look at it. Everybody needs to know how it's gonna work. I mean, I have wreckers that are 40 feet long, and I tow in a trailer truck that's 60 feet long. There's nobody that will struggle more than me to get through a roundabout, but I'm willing to listen. So, I mean, and I'm all for this. I mean, I don't want anybody in this room to think that I'm the guy that's steering this committee or pushing this, because I am not. I do think it's time that we did something in West Cumberland to bring the business to West Cumberland, so,
And I would second Ron's story. Yeah.
thank you.
Anybody else, please?
Bob?
Mike?
No, that's fine,
George Turner, Carriage Road. I won't be long-winded, but I drive through that intersection almost every day to go to my office in Wyndham. And sitting there listening to everybody, I was thinking about the fact that a roundabout sounds great, and I think you guys deserve a lot of credit for considering it. I think back on the council, when we approved the houses off Morrison's Hill, down at the foot of Morrison's Hill, affordable housing, which is now 400 and some odd $1,000 houses that are 1,700 square feet. And we approved pretty good-sized subdivisions, as you all know, on both sides of the road there. Part of the reason for it was that I had tried to sell that property on both sides of the road, and there were 2 different owners, on a commercial basis for at least a few years. And I had a bank that was interested at one point, and they backed out, and the scenario went on and on. And finally, it was really out of frustration that the council decided that it would be appropriate for affordable housing, and held off as long as we possibly could, and just washed our hands of the idea that commercial property was gonna get developed in that spot on either side. And I think if there'd been a roundabout there, I just wonder how many fewer years it would have taken, and maybe we wouldn't have had to settle for, and I say settle for, residential housing, because we all know commercial housing is gonna be more helpful to us on a tax basis. So I applaud you for thinking about doing this, and it's long overdue. Thanks.
Thank you, George. Mike?
Can I
I think there was, Kathy wanted to speak. I'll let go first before.
The good thing about the houses, while Kathy goes to the podium, is we have more customers for any potential businesses that might go in that area.
Well, this has kind of blown me away, so I'll be looking forward to next week, actually. My concern with
Can you tell us who you are?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Kathy Wright on Skillen Road. Sorry.
My concern with roundabouts, some of them are just too small. You go through like, on your way to Gorham, and so I just want to make sure it's big enough, so it's safe enough for big trucks to go, which means that it's going to wipe out a lot of abutting property like yours, you know, some of it. And that, certainly that building that's on the upper end there, new building, looks like apartment house or whatever, is way too close to that roundabout. So I know it's just a projection, but make sure you get enough setbacks, because people getting off the roundabout have to get in, access those businesses. And it just seems problematic. I've never seen a roundabout with a lot of activity around it that close. So anyway, my, you know, I think it's a good idea. I certainly wish, I think a traffic light is a lot cheaper. And I am absolutely delighted that the plan calls for sidewalks going up and down Morrison Hill. As you all know, I've been a big proponent of that. So I'm also going to put in excuse me, a wish that Orchard Road, for those of us in West Cumberland, we have no place to walk. I walk on Skillen Road. I don't really have a problem with that because it's got bike lanes. But you get up on Orchard Road, you have to get over in the ditch. And when you're coming around the corner there, many, many times I've had to get up into the snow banking because cars come around there. So as you look forward, and as West Cumberland develops, because there's a big development on Blanchard Road Extension going in, which is requiring sidewalks, but there's no freaking connection. I mean, it makes no sense to me. So, you know, sidewalks are really important when you have dangerous areas like Gray Road. It's long overdue at Gray Road for sure. Anyway, yeah, good work. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, going once, going twice. That's it. Comments from the council? Mike?
Jess, I want to challenge the council to, this is a great project. This is looking ahead to the future. I think that we as a council have been short-sighted, and you guys who's been on the council a couple of years have heard me say it. We were short-sighted on Route 1. We bought into the theory, oh, if it doesn't sell within a week, that we need to develop it into housing. And I think we just need to stick to our guns on Route 100. This is commercial property. Do not swap it over to residential like we did in Route 1. We approved a bunch of cluster housing down on Route 1 and told everybody, oh, we're going to develop businesses next to you. That's what was going to happen. And then when we proposed businesses, they complained that we were proposing businesses. So I just challenge the council to stick to our guns, keep this all commercial, as a goal, commercial down, and let's not be short-sighted. I go right along with what George said. I wasn't on the council when you guys approved the housing, George, on Morrison's Hill, but there was a lot of good commercial property that, I get it, I get why you did it, but I think what we have left, we have a good piece of, a chunk, let's just not, let's not buy into short-term solutions for long-term issues. So, that's all I have. Thank you.
Shirley?
I was not at all a fan of roundabouts about 3 years ago, and they talked about putting one in Falmouth on Route 9 and Middle Road where, and I love it. I love the roundabout. I could not, if I was coming from Middle Road going to Falmouth, I would have to sit and wait for the Longwoods traffic to come down if I was going anywhere in the morning. And now I get in that traffic circle and they have to wait for me, so I love it. So I think it's a good idea for here as well.
Okay, well, I'm looking forward to next Tuesday, up to West Cumberland, Community Center there, and we'll have some maps and charts and presentations. And my vice chair is pointing her finger at me and saying I'm missing something. Okay, so, this is an action item for us. So, would anybody like to make a motion? Mark?
I would be happy to. I move to authorize the TIF committee to work with MDOT to determine the feasibility of a new development plan for Route 100.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor? Thank you. And that, I believe, adjourns the official business. That brings us to new business.